morning, folks, or afternoon, or evening, or whatever the case may be. Just in time for the raid. Excellent. How is everybody? Isaac, I hope the end of your stream went well. I apologize for not getting a chance to hear eSongbird's article. Is that one I've heard before, eSong? Revolve. Oh, Granny Hemlock. All right, so I'm gonna have to listen for that one. Or actually, I'm following your world. I'll have to go read it myself. Oh yeah, I caught the tail end of you writing that yesterday, but I haven't read the article in its entirety. So I will do that today at some point. So how is everybody today? Everybody ready for where this is, I guess, day 2 of Panic Week? For everybody who's trying to scramble and get finished whatever it is they'd like to get finished. Panic! Yeah, first and foremost, the important thing to remember is you know, this isn't about a competition. This isn't about getting every article done. It's not about getting a certain number even done. It's about getting stuff done in your world so that your world is a more complete and better place moving forward. So every article you get done is a victory. Of course, that said, shinies are nice. So pick your shiny. The coffee is being made now to listen to the sweet, sweet sound of the coffee beeper to tell me it's done. Mine is done. All right, so let's get right into things. I am not going to be writing today because, ducking my head here, I've got all 30 articles done. So I'm not going to be writing, and I'm not going to bore everybody with personal editing. What I'd like to do today is I'm going to run a bunch of sprints. We'll also do some showcases. During the sprints, you can either sprint, you know, and do your writing, or if you're hung up on ideas for some of the unfinished articles or unstarted articles, we can brainstorm, and I will try to just push and prod and get you to hopefully get you guys to brainstorm the ideas that you need to figure out what you're going to do for the prompts that you haven't figured out yet. So, good morning, Writer Greg. Hope you had a good evening or a good sleep. I certainly did. So anyway, that's the plan for today. We'll start off with an early sprint. Like I said, during the sprint, if you want to brainstorm, just throw something up in the chat. And eSong will tell you, I did this with her yesterday. I'm going to ask you a few questions and get you to realize what your opportunities are within your world for prompts, hopefully. So we'll see how that works. We'll give it a shot. I have to remember, oh, there's my timer commands, okay. So if everybody's ready to get started, of course I had a good sleep, Mr. 30. Yeah, so if everybody's ready to get started, again, the sprinters, we're going to do 10-minute sprints, and at the end of the sprint, we'll figure out, at that point, again, we can either interrupt with a showcase or jump right back into another sprint. Today's stream and Thursday's streams are all about you guys. They're not about me. My job for this sprint, for this stream and the next, is to do anything I can do to help you guys get across whatever finish line you're setting for yourself. I am also streaming, by the way, on Saturday. My stream starts 4 hours before the deadline. That will be Panic Sprint Day, and I will probably be writing again that day. So I have no idea what the exact agenda will be for that stream. We'll play that one by ear when it gets here. But again, today and Thursday, it's not about my writing, it's about your writing, and hopefully we'll see how things go. Oh yeah, that Saturday stream is going to be fun. So, without further ado, I am going to get a timer started for sprint number 1. And if there is anybody out there that wants some help with brainstorming, just shout out in the chat. And in the meantime, I'm going to try to keep it a little quiet. I assume you guys can hear the music. I'm going to, well, it's hard for me to not stop or to completely stop talking, but unless we're doing the brainstorming stuff, I'm going to try to let you guys focus on what you're doing. So, without further ado, our first sprint timer starts. Again, it's 10-minute sprint. Our first timer starts in 3, 2, 1, go. Hopefully that came up. Is there a timer on the screen? Isaac, gonna take advantage of the sprint to go grab snacks. Yeah, you need, let's see what, crabs, strawberries, and cheese. That's right, cheese. So, anybody need some brainstorming help? It'd actually be a good thing if nobody does. That means you all have ideas and you're writing away. Either that or you're just sitting back and listening to the music, and that's cool too. All right, here's a question for all you other folks out there that stream. How many of you have a chat window off to one side, a camera right in front of you, and you spend half your time staring at the chat window instead of at the camera when you're talking? Okay, Esong is reserving a slot during the next sprint for brainstorming. I assume that means you're working on writing one down now, getting one done, so go for it. Writer Greg, same. I had to move my chat window to be right next to the camera. Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm still working on a single monitor system. So I have my camera kind of center mounted, and I can't center mount the chat. That just wouldn't work. So it's not too much of an angle. The biggest problem is I tend to be looking at the bottom of the chat because that's where the new messages come up. So if you see my eyes dipping down to the right, I guess it's better than dipping down to the left. I think eyes dipping down to the left is one of those universal subtle telltales for somebody who's lying. So at least I'm dipping in the right direction. Okay, we have our first showcase request. That's good. What I will do is bring that up and put it in the queue. How's my timer doing? The other thing I have to do is figure out how to be able to see my own timer without having to do this. That'll come. I've finally put together, with the assistance of a good friend, the specifications for my new improved machine. I will be purchasing the various bits and pieces, and between he and I, we will be assembling it sometime, hopefully over the next month to 6 weeks. And at that point, I will actually have 2 monitors, and I will be able to do things like see my own timers and do all that kind of wonderful stuff without having the single screen problems. Have I missed anything important? Let's see. I don't know if anybody else heard that, but I get about 30 spam calls a day on my old landline. Any idea how long gnomes live? Well, the short easy answer is it depends on your world, and you can kind of make them live any length you want. Usually, if we're going for fairly standard D&D and Pathfinder lore, they generally live at least as long as dwarves, not quite as long as elves, so anywhere in the 400 to 700 range would actually work. I think in my world I have them capping out at about 500, 550 years. But again, your mileage may vary. It could depend on your world. Aegon is here. Hello, Aegon. Good morning, afternoon, whatever appropriate appellation for you. Yeah, Forgotten Realms, it's 300 to 500 years. Like I said, it depends on your world. In my world, gnomes literally are a blend of elf and dwarf. They were created by an elf god and a dwarf god who got together after having created their individual species and decided to collaborate on something that was the best of both. So in my world, gnomes in almost all aspects kind of fall right between the two of them in the spectrum. So dwarves are good for 350 to 500 years, about 350 years actually, give or take. Gnomes a little bit longer. Elves are good for somewhere in the 700 range. The Fae in my world are interesting. The greater Fae are in principle immortal. So when I say the greater Fae, I mean the dryads, the naiads, the first ones that were created to actually watch over nature. They are immortal. They can be killed, but there is no death from natural causes for the greater dryads, for the greater Fae. Those of you who've been following my articles, you'll hear references, for example, to Amalthea. She is one of the greater dryad leaders, and she has been around. She was one of the first creatures created on my world, and she's still around. Let's see, what do we have? Barbarossa. I don't have gnomes or halfling in my world. I didn't like the lucky feat explaining their existence in my race was annoying. Plus, no one I have ever played with has played them. Right now, one of my playtest groups has a gnome, a gnome, a halfling, a goblin, and a half-orc. That's the party. So, in my other 2 playtest groups, between them, I think there's another 2 halflings and at least 1 other gnome. So, link to my world. You want to link to my world? I will apologize up front. My world page needs a lot of work, but and I haven't been very good during summer camp of keeping even things like the recent articles on the world page up to date. But if you want to follow the world, I will. That's one of my August projects, is to actually make this whole thing a little more user-friendly or reader-friendly for the rest of the Anvil community. So there's that. And I don't have a lot embedded into. I came to World Anvil about 2 weeks before summer camp. I still have an awful lot of stuff sitting around in like Microsoft Word files that I haven't transferred over into article format in World Anvil, but I will. See, so does mine. Yeah, I'm struggling to make my RPG world seem good and well made. Well, you know what? Everybody feels their stuff needs a lot of work. All right, don't let that get to you. No artist is ever truly happy with their work. What was it, writer Greg? What was it you said last night? Or art is never finished; it's only abandoned. That's true. I mean, it's art, and that includes writing. Happens to be one of those areas where, as the creator, you're never satisfied with it. But in reality, it gets to a point where it's good enough to make other people happy. And if you, as long as you get to that point, you've succeeded. Oh, Esomgar wants to steal part of my world in her RPG setting. Sure, no problem. Mine is still in early enough stages I can use all the free advertising I can get. Oh, how's that timer going? Almost forgot. Oh, time is up. Okay. I don't know if anybody warned me that time was up. Like I said, I can't see the timer. Okay, how did we do in the sprint? How many people were actually writing? How many words did you get? Let's see how everyone did. Yeah, everybody was too busy sprinting. All right, Barbarossa, 158 words. Good, good. But you started at 5 minutes. All right, so you could have finished an article. All right, so one more sprint and you'll be all set. Esong, 98 words. That's a good start. It's way early in the morning for you. Anybody else? Anybody else sprinting, or is everybody else just hanging? Realizing you're struggling with your farm. Yeah, you started that one last night too, I think, didn't you? All right, well, we did have one article submitted for reading. Oh, you're going to challenge me with pronunciation right off the bat. This was Barbarossa? Yes, this is Barbarossa. Oh, I'm not following your world yet. Let me do that right now before I forget. Okay. Let's see if we can get even close to this one. Guldganaucht. In the midst of late autumn, when the harvests have reached their close, those who worked so hard come together and cheer. Their cry is heard from farmhouse to farmhouse, and all know it is her time again. The time of St. Meve, and the time for feast, drink, and celebration. The cry of the neck is a farming tradition related to the last field harvested. Okay, cool. Oh, DM stretch, yes, already got that logo removal. Okay, before I go any further, let's see. My RPG world is dark colonial fantasy set in the Age of Sail. I've been pushing myself to write in it so much that it's not fun. Ooh, that can hurt. I've decided to walk away and create this one that you're reading now, which is your happy place. That's a good thing to do. It's a good thing to actually have a a slight bailout point for when, especially when you're hung up. So this is not your. Did you actually create a separate world for this? Um, and store this article in that? Okay, cool. I'll keep that in mind. Maybe I have followed your other world then. Like I said, I could have sworn I did. So. Okay, St. Maeve's Feast Day, also known as Guldganaucht, I hope I'm getting close to pronouncing that correct, is the harvest festival of the Duirnan people. Guldganaucht is Duirnan for Wheat Cutters Day. The festival was held at the end of the harvest season and took the form of a vast feast around the time of the autumnal equinox. Though the feast has continued for many centuries, traditions such as the crying of the neck have fallen out of fashion throughout Duirna, as traction engines and farming equipment have removed the need for scythes and cane hooks. History. Oh, tell me, young lads and lassies, tell me why you're running so. With the laughter on your trailing winds, your cheeks are all aglow. You say you're going to the churchyards to feast and laugh and play, and to enjoy the festivities of old St. Maeve's feasting day. Excerpt from the Autumn Moon Duirnan folk song. Legends and tales tell that St. Maeve was a woman renowned for her humility and who offered her home to the poor and the animals. The tale has many tellings, but all seem to share the same three guests who visit her home. St. Maeve, a possibly fictitious character believed to have lived in the mythical age of early Duirnan civilization. On the first day, as Maeve was boiling carrots, she was visited by a string of horses, whom she offered food and her field to rest in. The next day they returned her kindness by tilling out all the stones from her field and left. Later that day, as Maeve was making a pie, she was visited by a flock of birds, whom she offered her sweets and her trees to rest in. The next day the flock returned her kindness by covering her field with seeds. Later that day, as Maeve counted the last of her food, she was visited by a group of transients, whom she offered her home and the last of her food. The group of transients returned her kindness by working the land until it grew the finest wheat in all Duirna. It was from this field that she was able to feed everyone and every creature who visited her home for a full year. This continued every year until she could not harvest any more. In her weary age, the very wheat she planted grew so tall that it lifted her to heaven. Though in some regions it is claimed she was buried in a field where she became a large field of corn, wheat, etc. Duirnan farmers have long viewed this tale with great reverence and celebrate her life on her feast day, on or near the autumnal equinox. Very nice, I like the story. Okay, this will be the execution of the feast near the time of the autumnal equinox, after the fields have been near completely harvested. Farmers will hear the crying of the neck and cheer far and wide. From Brannoc all the way to the Storm Coast, farmers participate in Guldganaucht. You have an extra will on the end of Guldganaucht there, to honor St. Maeve's memory. Once the cry has been called, people will gather together with friends, family, and neighbors to cook a great feast. In some cases, the festivities will occur the next day or the next week, depending on the population of the area. The festivities can also take many forms, from parades and fellowship meals to small family gatherings, broiled meat and potatoes. It is common courtesy to allow all wanderers and transients into your home, should they knock, and feed them as St. Maeve did. They will then repay your kindness with money, stories, or even work the next day as thanks. In the last few decades, as traction engines and farming equipment have become more widespread, it is not uncommon for non-traditional farmers to take part in the activities. In major cities, workers will celebrate by holding large feasts with their friends and families, while giving any leftovers to their neighbors the next day. Alright, so it's kind of a Thanksgiving feast, kind of a celebration of cooperation feast. I like it. You were working on Brannoc as an article last night, I believe. So is that also in this new world? It looks like the Brannoc article is either not finished or it's partially hidden because I'm not getting any kind of pop-up from it. And I'm not going to go rabbit holing today. Nobody has time for rabbit holing today. It could be that you still have it marked private. It could be that it's probably published, but it might be marked private. Either that, or you haven't turned on. There is actually a setting to turn on some mouse over or pop up kind of stuff. So let's see, what else do we have here? Pretzels, grapes, wheat, bread, and whatever by Dan Burton. Okay, good. You've got that properly credited. I will assume that it is still, available for use, but the credits are good. Related location, Dwerna. Again, related ethnicities, Dwernan. These also are not popping anything up, so I think it's a setting somewhere. We can work on that later. The crying of the neck. The crying of the neck is a St. Mewes Day tradition, often marking the week before the festival is to occur. It is done when the last field in the town, village, or hamlet has cut down the last stalks or necks of their autumn harvest. Once done, the harvester will lift up the neck and shout the traditional cry, St. Mewes, looky here, a neck for you and your kin, to which surrounding farmers will cry in return, hurrah for the neck, hurrah for St. Mewes, hurrah for Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so. So here's a question. Do the farmers actually kind of compete to be the ones who get to do that? Or do they take turns? Or is it somebody's traditional, like the oldest farmer in the village? Because if it's a competition, you could end up with a weird situation. Which actually reminds me of a puzzle, a riddle puzzle kind of thing, but I'm not going to go into that right now. But if you have a competition to be the last person to do something, you could end up with a lot of unharvested wheat in the fields while everybody waits to think about, I'm not going to cut mine down because I want to make the call this year. Now you end up with winter comes, the snows come and ruins a whole harvest that nobody else, that everybody was waiting for. Yeah, I mean, like I said, some ideas, they could take turns. It could be the honor that the oldest farmer in the village gets. It might vary from village to village. There might be a random drawing, in which case, you have to still, is there coordination to make sure maybe the village, in fact, this wouldn't be uncommon, especially in the days of hand size and things. The village might just get together and decide, okay, here's the order we're doing everything in today, and all the farmers might travel from farm to farm, and all of them work to clear one farm, and then they move to the next one and clear that, and finally they get to the last one. That would also explain why all the other farmers are standing around within earshot when the cry is done. So that might be a good explanation for it. Okay, yeah, you had not considered that. Again, it could always be the oldest. But you might also want to, like I said, mix that with the tradition of the farmers getting together and all helping each other as they go through all the fields, ending with the oldest farmer. And that way, when you get to that last stalk of wheat, the farmer himself cuts it, he gives the cry, and everybody else is standing around to respond. So that could be a nice little image. All right, very nice article. I like it. Definitely not Dark Age of Sail, but like you said, this is a separate world. And it's good to have, like I said, the happy, pleasant alternative to jump back into, especially if your own stuff is getting you too dark. I'm going to throw a like to that. There were actually very few real problems with it. It read very easily. I like the use of the quotes. The song sample was good. The crying of the neck in the sidebar was excellent because it gets mentioned a few times, you know, and you cover enough of it that you don't need it, but it's nice to have there without having to jump down a rabbit hole. So very well put together article. Nice, like I said, there was maybe one or two little typos, and otherwise very, very good. I like it. Okay, what else we got going on? Let's see. Has anybody else posted? I'm gonna have to jump over here to check this now. See how long this takes to come up. Okay, nope, you're the only one who submitted an article, so we'll go back to that. All right, is everybody ready for sprint number 2? Have I missed anything else here? Let's see. Not so much too dark, just time finding your voice. Yeah, that'll happen too. Up, good. eSongbird is back with food. That means eSongbird is ready for brainstorming. Everybody else is ready for sprinting. And I think this time I'm actually going to just pop up my timer so I can see it timed down too. Since again, I'm not writing, so it's not in my way. And if everybody's ready, we're going to go 10 more minutes in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, Songbird, what articles haven't you done anything with yet? Give me one article, one prompt. Everybody else, you're certainly welcome to piggyback on the brainstorming. Okay, this is a. Okay, so I have to read this article and see what else you got to write. All right, tell you what, we'll put you up next for article read. We'll read through what you've got so far and then address how to finish that one after we read it. In the meantime, though, if you've got any other, pick another prompt that you think you might want to try that you haven't started on yet or that you're stuck on. Just so we can fill this time spot. Counterculture. Okay, yeah, that's a good one. All right, so are there any articles that you've done so far that spend at least some amount of time discussing the way the quote-unquote normal people, common people, average people live in your region? I know you're focused around Salt Marsh. It's a relatively small village. You, if I'm not mistaken, you have yours is the one where there's the old administrative building that used to be a dwarven temple or whatever. Yeah, exactly. You're starting to think along that lines. You could do something with the dwarves. All right, the Soul Martial module has two factions: loyalists, traditionalists, but they're kind of political parties, not really countercultures. Well, even there, I mean, are they evenly split? If they're evenly split, it would kind of be hard for one to be. I mean, that doesn't rule out one of them being a counterculture. Apart from what makes one a loyalist as opposed to a traditionalist? Let's see if we can work with that. Or your tridons, or do they live in and among the people though? Because I mean, a wholly separate, a completely separate race or physically separated group, it's a little harder to do the counterculture thing with. Okay, yes, they're evenly split, although one is significantly newer. Okay, I mean, you could still maybe we could still maybe get something out of that. I mean, well, let's be honest. I mean, you know, about 70% of what we consider mainstream ideas right now came out of counterculture movements in the 1960s. So you know, there is real historical precedent for you know, a bunch of newcomers popping up and changing the way things are done and the way people think and the way people think about, especially the way people think about other things, um, that the traditionalists would consider counterculture. Um, so that's one option, is to write the article basically from the standpoint of the traditionalist culture. And how do they see the newcomers, the loyalists? You know, what do they see that, you know, about the loyalists that's quote unquote wrong? All right, so that's one possibility. Um, you know, loyalists support King Scott's recent expansion into Saltmarsh. All right, so you have the traditionalists who like Saltmarsh just the way it's always been, and then you have the loyalists who want to see King Scott come into town and stir things up. You could do something with that. Like I said, I think the key there would actually be to take the focus of the traditionalist. All right, and talk about you know, how these new people with all these new ideas and new thoughts and how they're going to mess everything up and that sort of thing. Barbarossa. Let's see. The shrill sound of the train's whistle echoed through the. Barbarossa, was that long text entry supposed to be in your article? Head down typing. Just something you wrote and wanted to share. Okay, cool. All right, so like I said, that might be the way to approach the counterculture article, given all the stuff that you've already done, that you can, you know, so you can build off of thoughts and ideas and concepts that you've already incorporated into your early articles. At this stage, that's kind of what I'm going to kind of like push for in my brainstorming thoughts. Is, you know, at this point, everybody should have a bunch of stuff or thoughts written about the people and places and things of the region they're working on. So I'm big on integrating prompts. It makes for a tighter world when you're done. I think in the long run you end up with summer camp having helped you build your world, and not simply summer camp was a place where I answered 33 questions on a test. Secret cipher is another one. All right. Once again, you have your dwarves, and you have your etchings and markings on the temple. This is the first thing that comes to my mind. And this, let's go back to the counterculture again. That maybe you do go with the dwarves. Maybe you do go with a small group of dwarves who would really like to see the dwarves, quote unquote, reclaim their town and their prowess in the town. Counterculture just short of revolutionary, and they could perhaps use the symbols that, you know, that everybody sees in the administration building so often that they don't even recognize them. But the dwarves actually use them to communicate, whether it's time and place for meetings, and they could just be etched on the side, on the side wall of a building somewhere, um, hung from a little sign in a window or something. And again, you could have different symbols for different things. So there's one again. You've already introduced the symbols. You've introduced the fact that they used to be symbols of power, and now they're just decorations in the town hall that nobody understands the real import of. So I think you have a ready-made basis for a secret code system. Remember, the secret cipher doesn't need to be a full language. It doesn't need to be a full encryption system. There's a lot of ways to do it. We are getting raided. Quirlion is raiding. Hello, Q. You guys are getting here with 30 seconds to go on a sprint, but there will be more. Welcome, everybody. We got a good bunch here. Who do we have? We have Crostatina. We have Nine 124. We have Secondhand. I don't know if Secondhand was here before or not. It's hard to tell who comes in and who is already here. We're all on Redeemed Hydrate. Yep. Need to keep doing that. And a posture check. Yes, it's time for one of those too. Okay, so Songbird, yes, so you'll need to work on separating that out. Maybe you'll use the cipher exactly. Tie the two together. Use the dwarves. And as the dwarves who want to return to power as your. And I don't know, do they actively do things to undercut the current administration, or do they just sit around and dream of the good old days? Do they continue to do certain things the way they used to, even though other people consider it odd? Time is up, by the way. So everybody, let's see how you did for those of you who were writing. How did you do? Got any word counts? Barbarossa only 80. Yeah, but you put another 40 in the chat. So do they count? Steam engines are tough. You're describing that as your technology, I'm guessing? By the way, does coffee count as hydration? What else do we have? Anybody else? Was anybody else writing, or was it just Barbarossa? I know Songbird, you and I were talking. I don't know if anybody else was going. All right, so let's now take a break from that, and we're going to jump over, and we're going to find. Where did it go? I know you. Okay, I gotta go back and find it. We'll find it. Songbird, you put in. There it is. We'll see how you're going from here. This is Songbird's article on species bred for valuable resource, I believe. Is that correct, Esong? Oh, the settlement. Okay. Okay, yeah, I know. We talked about having the species, the settlement, the species and the settlement definitely linked. So you finished the species last night. Okay. So here we're going to talk. All right. As I recall, you did have a big chunk in your species article about the armor. Before I even start reading, if yeah, okay, I can just looking from the first line. You may want to pull that out of that article and put it into this one. Um, I think that other article was still long enough to go with it, to that you could go with just a line. Um, a line mentioning the armor in the species article, which you would then eventually link to this article, which talks about the armor in more detail and the farm as the settlement. I guess the farm is the settlement and not the town, but that's fine too. All right, so let's see what you got so far. All right, the Blaque Farm. Blaque Farm is renowned for its self-harvested scale mail armor. Self-harvested. It's located out in the middle of the wilderness and receives few visitors. It was founded 35 years ago by three gnome brothers, Belvarn Snelvit and Pacmel Blaque. Belvarn Blaque is the official owner and proprietor of Blaque Farm, although he'd rather spend time shaping and crafting scale mail than dealing with bookkeeping. He'd rather spend time shaping. Yeah, I would make that dealing just as a quick grammar check. Much should be uppercase to his brother Snelvit's chagrin. It's chagrin is with a C. You get free typo and grammar along with ideas here. Much to his brother's chagrin, Snelvit focuses on wrangling and managing the overall care of the alligator herds, but leaves the delicate task of forced mating to Pacmel. I think I remember hearing that line come up last night. Infrastructure. This farm is divided into several sections: a hatchery, roaming grounds, feeding areas, supply areas, skinning tables, and tanning labs. The area is surrounded by a thick 5.5-foot metal fence, reinforced with security spells, and designed to both keep. Yeah, I know that was brought up last night too. I would suggest designed both to keep unwanted visitors out and prize goods in. There are 12 female aniline alligators and 4 male on Blaque Farm. What I'm going to suggest, again, there's a lot of this that I know when you were. I guess I don't know if I remember seeing a lot more. I don't know if that was in the species article or not. If they are, if those sections are like the armor, there was a whole paragraph on the armor itself. You definitely want to bring that over because that's the armor, the details about the armor and the leather. That's the resource that this settlement is important for. Admittedly, it's also the resource that the animal itself is harvested for. Maybe the solution there is to let the species article focus on the leather and let this article focus on the armor. Now, you brought up an interesting thing that might be your salvation here. You mentioned self-harvested scale mail armor. What I envision when I see that is a farm full of alligators, and here I am, some young fighter who wants to start making a name for himself, and I want to wear Blaque Farm scale mail. I have to go out into the farm and, kind of like a pick your own turkey for Thanksgiving thing. I have to go out in the farm and get the alligators that are going to be used for my armor. Now the black folk they'll do the skinning and the tanning and the assembly of the armor, but I've got to go pick my own alligators. Is that what you had in mind? And if not, is it something you might want to have in mind? Because I love that. I mean, that phrase, self-harvested scale mail armor. Um, I mean, the only other thing it could possibly bring up in my mind is that the alligators kill each other, and the blacks just basically pick up the bodies quickly and deal with them. But I don't think that's what you had in mind, or is it? I don't know. Yeah, you should definitely go into more detail about the armor here. Again, since we're only shooting for 300 words, so it's not going to take a lot. Um, you meant just keep the list of the actual alligators to a brief minimum in this article. On this article, I would focus on the on how you're turning the leather into the armor. Well, not what you had in mind, but it's a fun connotation. You meant to say that the blacks are the ones that harvest the leather. All right, I mean, that's certainly the more traditional approach. Um, like I said, when I first read that sentence, though, I said this could be fun. So if you want to have a little fun with it, make that part of the game. I mean, you have to, you want armor? Fine, go pick. Yeah, I need 3 alligators. They're over there somewhere. Go get them. All right, so it kind of makes it a challenge too. It also makes it a point of pride for anybody wearing the armor. I had to get these animals. So there's some fun that can be had there. But again, yeah, I think that's just the best advice here is to, between this article and the last one, let the last one focus on the leather, which by itself is valuable, and let the farm/settlement focus on the armor. All right, and between the two of them, you should still have enough, even if you chunk out that whole paragraph on the armor and bring it over here. You should still have an easy 300 in the other article, and it'll get you a lot closer to 300 in this one. Also, how safe is the area? Any history with bandits, wild predators, etc. She does talk about a heavy iron fence floating around the, positioned around the whole farm, both to keep poachers out and predators in. So she does mention it at least. Alligator farms tend not to get poached too much. If you think about it, alligators in the wild are probably easier than an alligator farm, simply because there won't be as many of them in one place. So I personally, if I were going to try to get an illegal alligator, I would go out into the wilderness to do it and not to the local alligator farm. But maybe that's just me. I don't know. E-Songbird is the bestest person ever. Yes, I agree. All right, so hopefully that'll get you going. That gives you 2 articles to finish cleaning up today. What'll that be your total? How many does that bring you to? 16, 17? Can a person do more than 1 article? You can't submit more than 1 article for a single prompt. I think if you submit a second one, it'll overwrite the 3rd one. If you want to share Brannoc, I mean, I'll read it. I have no problem with that. Let's see. Kitapoy has a Floridian. Wild alligators are trivially easy to find. Yeah, I mean, just go to a golf course. Welcome, by the way, Kitapoy. Maybe a fun anecdote about a person who wandered into the wrong area and had to be rescued. That might be an interesting sidebar. If you need to make up words for the article, Stretch has a good suggestion there for a sidebar bit. It's related, but it's not built into the article. or a quote. It could just be a quote too. There I was walking through the swamp, and all of a sudden, so you could have fun with that. You couldn't find a single alligator when you lived in Florida, but you were also an oblivious college student. Yeah, they were probably not too far from you. Um, I guess it depends on where exactly in Florida you were too, though. I mean, the streets of Miami might be a little lean on alligators, but if you were anywhere near a body of water or tall blade of grass, then you probably were near an alligator as well. Okay, so is everybody ready for sprint number 3? We are 1 hour through so far, is that correct? Yeah, we're 1 hour done. So we got an hour to go. Cool. Hopefully everybody's getting a lot done today. Okay, so we'll get rid of that. Oh, wait, I don't want to get rid of that yet. Wait, come back. Where did it go? Pardon me a second. I need to tell my phone I'm not answering it. Chat paused. Oh, come on, guys. Oh no, here we go. Here's my mandatory 1 per day Firefox locks up. It'll be back in a second, I'm sure. Usually is. There it goes. I need to find Songbird's article again so that I can follow it. How far up did I get here? Let's try this again. Okay. And then I'll load up Barbarossa's as well for the end of the next sprint. Come on. You know what, Songbird, if you could just repost your article, rather than me hunting for it, because apparently me hunting too far back is confusing Firefox. Okay, I'm not having any CPU overload problems. I'm not having any frame problems. This is just Firefox being a pain in the neck. If that's the case, while I wait for that to undo itself, let us get the next sprint started. So if everybody's ready, we'll get the clock started in 3, 2, 1, go. Hopefully sometime in the next 10 minutes, Firefox will come back to normal. Because I would like to have my chat window back. Let's see if we can do this way. Looks like I might be restarting lots of things here. We'll find out. Hopefully I don't go away entirely here, folks. I shouldn't, because OBS is still alive, but we'll find out. Okay, that's good. As far as I can tell, I'm still streaming. And my music should still be playing. Yeah, Firefox is not responding. No kidding. Looks like everything else is going fine, so I will just give Firefox a chance to get its act back together and restart it. The trick during these technological hiccups is to remain calm. Oh, look at this. It's trying to bring itself back up as it was. That's always good. I have no idea what my chat window is going to look like when it comes back. But we will find out, won't we? You'll be reposting your link when it's back up. Okay, it looks like it is back up. Chat will be blank as it will refresh. Yeah, it looks like it's back. Good. Yeah, we've been good, yeah. Let me get Moobot back up and running. It looks like that went away. So that's back up. I'm not going to worry about the stream manager yet. I really don't care. Alright, so we got that. Okay, and I'm going to need Barbarossa's article link again too. But let's get these up. I just wanted to get this one up long enough to do that. And we're going to read Brannoc. And see that? Look at that. We got all of that done and we still have 4 minutes and change to go in the sprint. No time lost at all. It's all a matter of staying calm and collected. It's also a matter of having gone through this 3 or 4 times and having a much better understanding about what it is that's actually messing up. Let me just get my screens back in order again. There we go. Again, being on single monitor, I like to keep that little bottom right corner of OBS visible because it's showing me frame rates and CPU and stuff like that. And, you know, if I have any real trouble, it'll show up down there first. As long as those numbers stay good, anything else that happens with Firefox is just Firefox, so I can deal with that the way I just did. Alright, looks like everything else is up and running. Is the yep? Okay, Pretzel's talking, Moobot's talking. Yep, we're all good shape. We have little under 3.5 minutes to go. Yeah, like I can't wait to have a second monitor so that I can actually have, you know, some of this stuff like, you know, the SNAS timer and OBS sitting on a second monitor and just have the one monitor focusing on, you know, on what you guys are actually seeing. You know, without having to pop up windows on you know, for you to see just so I can see them. Because like I said, right now I'm blind. You know, you guys have the cute little timer up in the top corner of the screen. I don't, because I'm not looking at the OBS window. It's hiding behind the Firefox window. Yeah, you know, I kind of resisted two monitor setup for a long time. My wife recently got one for her work at home setup, and just the 2 or 3 times that I've sat down at it, I can pretty comfortably say that no matter how much you think you're fine with one monitor, it takes about 15 minutes of working with 2 to realize that you know to actually wonder how you managed to get as far as you did in life without it. So, DM Stritch, yeah, hopefully this helps. You know, this little experience helps. Like I said, as long as OBS stays up and running, you don't lose the stream. You might lose contact with the chat or whatever, but if you have to restart, you know, if you have to restart bits and pieces, as long as OBS is still up and transmitting, keep talking. Keep talking and do your work in the background. Aegon, my setup's a little nuts. I went from 2 monitors as a streamer to 6 and 2 PCs. Wow. That is crazy. The craziest setup I ever saw was a guy who was playing a massive multiplayer online game called EVE Online. Anybody out there who's familiar with it? It is a space-based multiplayer game. There is one server. Actually, there's 2, because there's one for China, and there's one for the entire rest of the world. All right, so it's not like World of Warcraft, where, you know, there'd be about 150 people on a server and they had 500 servers working. In EVE, there's one server. So at any given time, there are 15,000 people around the world logged in and playing this game, and it runs 23 hours a day, 7 days a week, covers all periods of the day and night, and everything happens in real time. Good morning, Kahuna. There was a guy who did nothing but asteroid mining. He didn't pirate. He didn't do this. He wasn't attacking. Whatever. He did nothing but asteroid mining. He has a 9-screen setup to run his asteroid mining operation, and it was like the craziest setup I've ever seen on a computer desk. So where are we? Oh, time's up. Time's up. Oh no. In the meantime, we had Kahuna jump in. Excellent. Oh, Aegon, you used to be a member of Band of Brothers. Yeah, you were on the losing end of the bees. You don't like bees, do you? That's when I was playing, actually. It was kind of like right around when that whole thing was going down. I see this is still being slow and nasty. Well, yeah, EVE, yeah, the alliance system didn't help. But let's not make this all about EVE right now. Pardon the use of a movie and book title. But, yeah, the alliance, well, it had one little glitch. Come on, you know, just one little glitch. That was all it took, though. For those who are wondering, that this alliance system, you could set up one individual who was responsible for making payments into the game to continue paying the rent on all of your resources. And if that person went on vacation or was away from his systems and forgot to assign that duty to somebody else, then you wake up one morning and several thousand players who are the most powerful players in the game suddenly find that they cannot access their resources, and suddenly find that they're under attack from 200 different directions at once, and suddenly find that they're obliterated out of existence. And now we know what the problem with Firefox was. It's been downloading an update. Not now. Okay. All right. Anyway, 108 words. Yeah, anyone on the Alliance board can dismantle it. Yeah, that it got messy. There was spies involved, but it's a cool game from that standpoint, though. I mean, I know Band of Brothers, you had internal spy problems, you had all kinds of stuff. Barbarossa finished steam locomotives, very good. Let's get back on track here, guys. Although I'm not sure why we should get back on track. We spent about half of Isaac's stream talking about Doctor Who and a few other things, so I guess that can be fun too. Yes, congratulations to Barbarossa for getting that article done. One more in the can is always good. Anybody else sprinting? Esong got 108 words, so you're well on the way to yet another article being finished. That's great. All right, let's read about Brannoc. I'm assuming this is another article, Barbarossa, from your happy place. There's the metadata. Okay. Yeah. So as far as your question about submitting multiple articles, you can only submit one per prompt, but I am assuming. Correct me, anybody who knows. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you've submitted a prompt, and then you create a whole new article, and click the same, and it's eligible, it's the right template and everything. I'm guessing if you click the same, save this prompt, it'll overwrite the first one. I'm guessing that it'll do that. So, I mean, if you've written an article, that fits the same bill as something you've done before, and you're happier with the second one, then by all means submit the second one. But no, you don't get credit for two in the same prompt, unfortunately, and it doesn't count as an extra when done. Okay, Brannoc. Brannoc sat in the low hills for which it was named. Qana na Bran, the hills of Bran. Nothing more than a scattering of houses on the foothills of the Bully Mountains. Brannoc was a community of sheep herders. City folks would mock the idea of going to such a place so far east, in the borderlands of Duerna, where such luxuries as electricity and rail were so rare. It's nice to vacation in the country. Brannoc is a rural hamlet in the western region of Duerna on the banks of the Ealing River, south of Old Ballystone and east of the Bally Mountains. Okay, now we learn Duerna constitutional monarchy. Okay. Old Ballystone is an old fortress. Okay. While I'm here, look at Tallybrook. Okay. Brannoc is a well-known, not an, though isolated community of sheep herders who farm and export wool. The wool is then taken to the nearby town of Tallybrook, where it is turned into textiles at the newly built mill. Despite its isolation, industry has reached the small town of Brannoc in the form of a new coal mine. Many of the young men and women have left their traditional lifestyle as shepherds to join the labor force of the mine, causing a steady decline in the once proud heritage of Brannoc. Government. Brannoc, due to its rural nature, has a loose volunteer town council, which forms its government. They hold very little power and often meet only to discuss current local issues. There is a burgher elected at the Guldganaucht festival every 4th year and serves on the council as mediator. Infrastructure. Much of Brannoc is open fields for the many shepherds who roam with their sheep through the wide open hills and furrows of the hills of Bran. Houses are made of a steely gray stone with wooden roofs covered in slate shingles or thick thatch. Yes, you're definitely defining rural Ireland here. All roads are dirt paths that dot the hills and are as wide as a cart with etchings where the wheels have worn away the earth. We talked about, I know etchings got talked about last night, whether that's the right word. You might want to just use ruts. I don't know that etchings is a bad word here, but ruts definitely gets the word across. Oh, that's the word. There you go. You know, everybody will know exactly what you're talking about if you use that. All right, geography. Brannoc sits in the midst of the great foothills of the Bally Mountains. There is very little flat land here, and trees dot the hilltops and furrowing valleys that cover the landscape. It is a thinly populated region, with houses seemingly sitting far away from where the town would naturally seem, and great open ranges that stretch acres. History. Early history. Brannoc was a peaceful place, nestled away from in the foothills of the mountains, and away from the ever-evolving and changing world. Is that a quote from something? From whatever? There's no attribution for it, so you have it in quotes. It looks like a quote. Make up somebody that said it, or something. It could be a travel guide. It could be, a note in an atlas somewhere. It could be almost anything. Brannoc was originally named Qana na Bran and has existed for centuries in the foothills of the Bally Mountains. Its name comes from an ancient Dwyrnan king named Bran the Brash, who engaged in battle with the ancient Grecians before being slain. The old records do not say where Bran was buried. You need another half of a sentence there. I see. Here's the rest. This is the rest of the sentence. Instead of a period, go with a comma there, and lowercase the T in there. So though old records do not say where Bran is buried, there are stories that say there is a hill burrow east of the Bally Mountains where Bran rests. Modern history. The Brannoc Mining Company was created after Dwyrnan prospectors discovered large previously undiscovered. You can probably get rid of previously undiscovered because you just said that the Dwyrnan prospectors discovered large veins of coal and ore in the foothills. The creation of the mine was met with backlash from the older population of Brannoc, who felt its presence would disrupt the local beauty and devastate the traditions of sheep herders. But the mine was allowed to be built as the nation needed coal to continue its growth. A cable railway was built which allowed for full coal cars to bring up empty ones, from the nearby town of Tallybrook, where the full coal cars would enter into the Tallybrook freight depot. I think you want to rearrange that. You're mentioning, the full coal cars go out, the empty cars come back. You might want to just rearrange that last little thought there. And then alternative names, Bran Hill. Is it Cronan na Bran or Crocan na Bran? You have it Cronan here and Crocan here, so pick one. Unless they're both. If they are both, I would actually put them both in the alternate name list so that it's clear they're both. Type is a hamlet, population. They're called Brannans, and they're under Dwyrna. I like it. The only other question I have, as far as potential content, the young folk are heading, are preferring to work in the mines. Coal mining is a dirty, ugly, hard work. So how much more are they getting paid by the mine to give up a nice, calm, quiet, clean living outdoors, to instead, commit themselves to the mines. There definitely, I mean, there needs to be some financial benefit to that somewhere, and you probably want to mention it because otherwise, I mean, if they have a life with the sheep, I mean, unemployment is another possibility, but either they're not fine, either they don't have jobs with the sheep, or the mining job has to be more appealing from some standpoint. So you might want to just give a sentence or two mention to that. Other than that, I like it. Definitely a more, again, a pleasant place. Although you're hinting of darkness coming again with this mine coming into town. So if you want to keep this as your happy place, be careful. WD, welcome. Let me jump back. See, I haven't been paying attention. Ooh, there's been a lot of chat going on. That's the word. You're a better adult than I am. Okay, I'm not sure what that's about. Here comes WD. How are we doing today? We're doing pretty good. And yes, we're having a very productive stream. Songbirds jail moat got approved today. Cool. We're looking forward to seeing that. Kahuna working on number 25. Need foodie pics. Ooh. Well, you know the standard sources: Pixabay, Unsplash. There have to be good food pictures floating around those. Yeah, I'm done with my 30. So Songbird is cheerleading for me. Cool, thank you. You don't see your own jail emotes. We'll see them. I'll see if they pop up in a second for me. Let's see. You may put it in industry and trade. Yeah, okay, you're talking about the mining thing. Even happy places need a little conflict. I've noticed that my happy place has a transitioning theme of old versus new. Yeah, that's good. But like I said, if you want to keep it a happy place, just don't let the darkness overtake it completely. So let me see. Do I have Songbird? There we go. I don't want to cheer. I want to do this. There you go, Songbird. So there it is. Okay, it is 11:30. We have time for one more sprint. And after that, we will have time for one more article, if anybody wants an article. If not, we'll have time for two more sprints. But let's get going on the next sprint. Again, let me just bring this up so I can see what's going on. And if everybody's ready, we will sprint for 10 minutes in 3, 2, 1, go. In the meantime, again, if anybody else would like or would need some brainstorming help with a prompt or two that they can't figure out what to write, I will happily offer my services in getting you to realize that you probably have more opportunities than you knew. By it. There goes the voice again. Black coffee is good in the morning, but it's not a good hydrator. Considering doing police in my happy place for the law enforcement agency. Well, yeah, you could do that. If you think about sleepy town police organizations, you can actually have a lot of fun with that. Anybody my age who remembers the Andy Griffith show, for example, I think this was actually talked about in a stream sometime in the last week or two also. Andy and Barney in Mayberry as the police force. You use that as a model, especially for something like Brannoc. It's about the right size. Um, I mean, yeah, he's the police, and yes, the one or two times that anything serious actually happened, he knew how to do his job well. But his main job was to be the happy face of the town, So let's see, e-song, that would be a wonderful source of information. Brain synced up today. Am I missing something? Let's see. Are you? Yeah, e-song wants to post her jail emote whenever somebody gets banned. You know, I get WD. I assume you're over being hunted down and captured. That was fun. Everybody else had a lot of fun with that anyway. And then she couldn't figure out how to get you out of jail. That was even funnier. Oh, with WD, we're just talking about how Songbird was waiting for you to show up in her chat, and promptly threw out the dragnet and locked you up, and then couldn't figure out how to get you out of jail. That was good entertainment for everybody else on the stream. So now she's got an emote to celebrate. So let's see, 6.5 minutes of stream time of sprint time left. Hope everybody's writing, cranking away. I'm taking it as a good thing that nobody needs brainstorming help. That means that you're all either that you all at least have an idea what you're going to do for the prompts you haven't started. Sometimes getting that idea is the hardest part. And especially if you get an idea early and let it just kind of sit and germinate in your head, by the time it's time to actually sit down and write, you can usually do pretty good stuff. WD helped you with the emote. Excellent. He got an extra version from his artist. Yeah, I like that on fire emote, WD. Or that's the trash fire emote, isn't it? I think that's the. You have to combine that one with is it Delian or Q that has the oh no. I think it's Q that has the oh no emote. Yeah, Garbodor, the Pokemon of trash. Yeah, there we go. You mix those two together, that gets the message across. 4.5 minutes to go, folks. Oh, as a quick aside, I'm curious. Has anybody else found? Now watch, because I'm talking about this, I'm going to find out that Dimmy fixed it overnight. Has anybody found this bug? All right, check your notifications. Oh look, all of these wonderful things. Okay, let me clear them. I'm going to hit delete. Wait, no, I don't want to clear them. I don't want to do this. I want to go back because I want to do something with one of them. Let me hit cancel. Poof, all gone. I don't know if anybody else has hit that yet, but be warned. Once you start the cancel operation on your notifications, once you start the delete operation, there's no going back. Yeah, I haven't reported it yet, but I need to get around to doing that. Now, the interesting thing is this still says 6 notifications, but they're gone. The first time I did it, I was like, wait, did I hit the cancel button or did I hit the submit button, the OK button? So the first time I really didn't give it any thought. I figured I just didn't hit, wasn't lined up on the button right. But then it happened again, and I was less sure. It took me the third time I actually paid attention and made very sure I knew what I was clicking. So that was just late last night, so I haven't gotten around, like I said, to reporting it yet. But yeah, I should put that one up. Either that, or maybe I can short circuit the process now. I mean, in 2 hours, those guys are on stream, so maybe I can put it in as a question. Question: has anybody reported the bug about deleting notifications? That might be the fastest way to get it handled. I'm sure it's a trivial fix in the code. It's literally just a matter of pointing one. The 2 buttons are being unfortunately pointed to the same subroutine that just needs to be fixed. How are we going on the clock? It might be up by now. No, still have 2 minutes to go. Okay. Yeah, so to all you pro high-tech streamers out there, you gotta be wincing every time I have to do something like bring up this lousy screen to see what's going on. But as I said, my 2-monitor system is still a few weeks away from being realized. Let's see, WD report that for sure. If you click OK, no, I don't think they're swapped. I think both buttons send them into oblivion. You don't know enough about crafting armor to write about this. Oh, that we can help you with. What questions should you be answering with armor crafting? Again, you don't need to get into the gory, stupid details. But in a nutshell, the biggest thing with leather armor is that normally people, when you make leather, you go through great pains to scrape it and you're with the tanning process and everything. But you scrape it and work it so that it's soft and supple. Armor doesn't want to be soft and supple. Armor needs to be hard. So there are extra processes that are, where you boil the stuff in certain chemicals or like lye, or I don't know what exactly, but you do stuff to actually harden the armor, and while it's still wet, you have to shape it. So you would either have the actual person around for shaping literally right around the body, or you have good models. It depends on exactly the pieces you're making, but you might have like wooden, what we have is dress dummies now for dressmaking or for clothing making, that you would use to shape the armor bits, and then you let them dry and harden. And that, I mean, you can, the art would be, of course, making sure the scale patterns are just right so that you've cut out the pieces in the right place. You can probably, without knowing how it's actually done, we can give you some descriptions about some of the specific bits. Time is up, by the way. We can give you enough little tidbits about the armor making process so that it sounds like you know what you're talking about. We'll get that, we'll get some bits and pieces of that to you. Okay, how did people do in the sprint? Anybody? Did anybody write? Barbarossa got another 109 in. Excellent. Excellent. You're flying today. Anybody else? Esong 228. Excellent. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention I finally got my my dinosaur track icon for your channel points. I hope everybody has some fun with that. Let's see, but you started a little early and are still writing. That's okay. Milladamon, I wrote, but I didn't pay attention to the timer or the word count. That's fine too. Again, I mean, even the sprints. I mean, again, this isn't a contest. We're not giving out prizes for who wrote the most words in exactly 10 minutes. It's a format to help you guys, give you time to get some writing done, and knowing that everybody else is tied. Love the image and the name. Yes, you'll notice, by the way, it is not a raptor track. It is we are definitely going for the Brachiosaur family, or the not plesiosaur, but the sauropod family of dinosaurs, which is why the print is more elephant-like than bird-like. But that's okay, because we're together we can be a large herd. And in fact, by the way, that's what my subgroup is named. You are the herd. Those of you who have subscribed, welcome to the herd. And if I don't know if you've noticed, but I think my bot keeps throwing up reminders. The next emote that comes up will be a dinosaur themed raid emote when I'm eligible for putting up another one. So I haven't gotten it drawn yet, but I have it designed. So that's my next goal as far as being a streamer, is to get that one out. I think I'm 10 subs short of being eligible for that, at least when I started today, and I don't think I saw any come in today. Okay, let's see, what time is it? It's 20 of. Do we want to do another sprint, or do we want to kill most of that time with another article read? If somebody has an article to read, I'll be happy to read it. I'll wait a minute or two to see if I get an answer on that, and if not, we'll do another sprint. All right, everybody seems to be on a roll with their writing, so we might as well keep going with that too. But if somebody has an article to read, throw it up there. I do have a point redemption for it, but if you don't use it, I'm not going to ignore you. There's not much else to do with your points for me yet, except tell me to drink and straighten up in my chair. So you might as well use them on article submits. It does make it easier for me to find the article links. All right, I'm not seeing any article links come up. So, is there anybody scrambling to find one? Say something in the chat. Seeing nothing. Let's go for another sprint. Looking at the time. You know what? Here's what we're going to do. Yes, it's definitely easier, Songbird. We can talk about that later. All right, since we're going to wrap up with this sprint, I didn't want to do that. I want to do this. Since we're going to wrap up with this sprint, we're going to make this one a 15-minute sprint. How does that sound? It'll be a little bit longer, but it'll get us closer to the end of the stream. So we got a 15-minute sprint to finish things up. Oh wait, Kahuna has an article. Ah, there. Oh, excellent. Okay, so then we won't do a 15-minute sprint. We'll put that away for the moment. We will read Kahuna's article. Stop it. Jumped away from me there. Here we go. Kahuna, I will warn you, I don't do voices like you do. But let's see what we need here. Okay, that looks like an interesting sign at the beginning. This is not the article I want to get. Uh-oh. Oh, good now? All right, try again. There we go. Welcome to Aranathia, everyone. And we are going to be reading about the Festival of Qana. I assume it's Qana and not Qana. Correct me if I'm wrong. Raise a goblet to give thanks, outstretch a hand to give aid, feed those who hunger, give kindness to those who need peace. That is the blessing of the Feast of Qana. Nice sentiment. And there goes my phone again. That will be nothing important. We'll make that go away quickly. I hate distractions. Okay, history. After the 30-year winter, which I don't get a chance to go to, but obviously there's a link there somewhere, so we're not going to worry about it. After the 30-year winter, Aranathians began the process of rebuilding their world. It was early spring, and the ground had begun thawing, and life was slowly returning to the surface. Many worked to bring back some semblance of normalcy by returning to the ground, planting and tending fields of grain, root vegetables, and anything else they could find seeds for. They worked and harvested the few remaining orchards, and brought their emaciated livestock out to graze. They worked under the warming sun all spring and summer, finally starting to provide sustenance for all. When the change of seasons to fall was upon them, they held the first celebration of the Festival of Qana, the Festival of Kindness. While the harvest was not what might be called bountiful, all shared what they had with anyone who needed. Chickens and other fowl were roasted, and the meat was shared. Grain was harvested and ground for meal and for bread. On this day, the first day of fall, no one would go hungry, so no one went unfed. This was a time to give thanks for their survival and to ensure the survival of all. Over the centuries since, the festival celebrations have grown. In small villages, it is a chance to bring neighbors from near and far together for a day of celebration. In larger cities and in some kingdoms, the celebrations may last 2 or 3 days, with groups going through the streets helping and feeding the downtrodden. Execution. The base celebration is the same across Aranathia, with perhaps small regional changes. In the Kingdom of Orshalan region, the celebration is a national holiday, including a grand feast in Orshalan city. The feast includes a wine and cheese festival, as well as a hosting for meals by every restaurant in the city. The wine festival features wines from various wine-producing areas of Orshalan, with those near the northeast border usually producing the most sought-after wines. In addition, the royal family has great stockpiles of Caroni cheese brought in from Fubdo's farm in Tremer. This cheese is only produced for the royal family and can only be obtained from the royals. But for the Festival of Qana, the cheese, that should be the cheese, I guess, is brought in by the wagon load, and any who wish to taste it may take a wedge with them, courtesy of the royal family. In fact, in Orshalan, the festival is of such import that there is a committee specifically designed to plan each year's festivals around the country, and the royal treasury pays for the needs of each festival. Observance, this is held on the first day of fall each year, although some regions may stretch this to as many as 3 days. Pardon me there. That was loud. I hope I didn't blow out everybody else's ears. Okay, I like it. Very, very good. Nothing to complain about with the wine and cheese festival. You threw a croissant in there as well. Very good. Everything is credited. Cheese lovers everywhere will be happy. I don't remember who's it doing the cheese. DM, that's you, isn't it? You're the cheese guy, aren't you? That's a nice looking piece of blue cheese, though. What kind of cheese is that really? Do you have any idea? Because that's a nice looking hunk of cheese, making me hungry now. And when I finish upstream, it's lunchtime. So, let's see. The only I don't really have anything to comment on. The flow is good. The reading is good. I didn't see any long run-on sentences, and I am sensitive to those because I do them all the time. I think there was just that one typo. You have where was it again? I'm losing track of where it was now, but I think there was one either extra word or odd word. Oh yeah, they cheese. Here we go. The cheese instead of the cheese. Oh, it's Tillers. That's right. It's Tillers doing all the cheese stuff. All right, so that's a Pixabay Blue. Okay, gotta love Pixabay, huh? Yeah, I assume this is the food festival article. I recognize the template. I am following your world already. I will follow your festival. And that was excellent. Okay. Guess what, folks? We have time, just barely, for a 10-minute sprint. So we're going to get in one last 10-minute sprint. We're going to wrap up the way we started. We're going to get that sprint in, and over the course of the end of that sprint, I'll say my goodbyes and figure out who we're going to be rating. I know Hefe is up. I think there might be somebody else as well. We'll figure that out. But in the meantime, let's get the sprint going. Set it back to 10 minutes. And we will begin going in 3, 2, 1, go. Would help if I hit the right start button. There we go. And everybody, right. WD Michael, I made a super sour fruit food festival challenge. Songbird, article finished. Yay! Yes, WD, have you done your eating horrible food thing yet, or are you still collecting for that? And if you want a good super sour fruit, those cafe cherries that I have in my world, they're considered so bad they're inedible. But they make a good brewed beverage because there's a purpose for everything. So I guess as we get near the end here again, just as a quick reminder, we'll be doing on Thursday. I actually start a half hour early on Thursdays so that I can pick up the gap after Shy Red Fox. Thursday will be another 2.5 hours of pretty much this format. For those of you who came late, this format is sprints, showcases, and during the sprints, at least on Thursday, during the sprints, I will be happy to go back and forth with anybody who is stuck for ideas on prompts, and I will prod you with brainstorming kind of questions to help you come up with your ideas on what you can do with your prompts. So that, like I said, that'll be again for this Thursday. Esong You did. Oh, this is the article you just finished. Excellent. All right, I'm not going to get a chance to read it here, but I am going to bring it up, and I'm gonna look through it real quick while I'm talking about other things. Okay, you brought in the armor thing. You brought in the more armor. That's right. I've already got a like on that. I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna go back to that and read that in detail later. But it looks like you've got everything covered now. So that's excellent. So what are you going to be working on now? What's your next one? Yes, Songbird. Thanks for the marketing kick there. Again, I'm not going to tell you what you should do, but I'm going to ask you questions about your world and about your other articles, and kind of help you pluck ideas out of stuff that you've already established. I mean, that's the brainstorming approach I try to go with. So even if it sounds like I'm giving you ideas, it's not. I'm giving you ideas that you've already had. So we'll be doing that, and then I do have a stream on Saturday. Again, 10 a.m. Eastern time. That's 4 hours before the drop dead deadline for summer camp. That one will also be packed with panic sprints for everybody trying to get their last minute stuff done. You know, we can do a showcase or two in there as well, especially if somebody you know, really, you know, wants to get an article, you know, cleaned up at the last minute. Yeah, their ideas, not commandments. Exactly. I mean, well, first of all, I'm not going to write your articles, so even if I come up with, you know, I can give you 27 ideas. If you don't want to write them, you're not going to write them. But like I said, you know, what I'm really looking for is places where you've already come up with the idea, you just don't recognize it. And I'm trying to help. You know, I'll try to help you recognize what you've already got. You know, at your fingertips, because the writing comes easy when it, especially when it's related to something that you've already spent a lot of time and effort thinking about. We should have about 5 minutes to go. Yes, just a little under 5 minutes. Let's see who else is coming up. Let's also see if my stream manager survived today. Look at that survived today. Who's up? Let's see. Oh, that's right. Yeah, Toblin and Hefe will be our choices for the day. So we will get back to that in a few minutes. I knew there was somebody else streaming as well. I could have looked at the calendar too. 3.5 minutes. Why don't we take a quick look at the calendar and see what the rest of the day will bring? Okay, so after I pass off, Hefe or Toblin, I'm going to start taking requests. Who do you want me to raid? Hefe, I'm going to, one of these days, I'm going to, maybe for Thursday, I'll actually have a real live poll set up in the chat to do this. But in the meantime, I'll ask for you guys, since it's you guys that are raiding. Do we want to raid Hefe, or do we want to raid Toblin? Either way, you got 2 hours there, and then we have Janet and Dimmy. And then Esong, is Scribe going to come on after Janet? It gets busy here. We have Shy Red on Tutorial Tuesday. We have, it looks like Scribe is doing a Get It Done sprints. And then because it's not crowded enough, we have Laura Bones, and Aaron at the same time. And then we go, let's through, who is this? This is, come on, tell me who this is. Clicks aren't working here. I have to break it off into another calendar. Kahuna, we know who that is. Definitely be there for Kahuna. I have a pirate article with an actual pirate voice. I'll try to get it on your stream tonight. It's actually written in pirate lingo. So, oh, look at that. We're having. Oh, there we go. It was Mark Harrell, and my thing is finally catching up again. A little under a minute and a half to go. And there's only about a minute and a half to go on the stream. Who has less people? Yeah, I'll tell you what. I will look at that. Well, all right. So we're going to go to whoever has the least viewers at the time when it's time to flip it over. So what's going to happen is as soon as this timer runs out, I'm not even going to ask for word counts because it's going to be time by then. If anybody wants to throw up their word counts, as soon as I say time's up, throw up your word counts so we can see them. In the meantime, I will be fighting with Firefox to get my to get the raid notices up and see who it is that we're raiding. And as soon as we see who has the least number of followers, that's who we're going to. And that's going to happen in 30 seconds. 30 seconds. So I will start saying my goodbyes now and thank yous. Thank you everybody for coming. Thank you for participating. Those of you who gave me things to read, thank you for that. Those who sprinted, great. Those who just hung out and lurked and listened to the music and watched the chat go by, thank you also for coming. There's room for everybody. Hope to see you all back here in 2 days. Maybe in 2 days, too, in the in-between times, I'll start talking a little bit about what the plans I have for streaming starting next week after summer camp is done. So anybody's interested with that, I have a couple of interesting ideas for where to take my three. I'll be streaming 3 days a week, and I have ideas for them. And time is up. Okay, so everybody throw up your word counts. Let's get back over to here. Let's get the raids up. We will be raiding Hefe. Is that because he's not up yet? No, he's up. Okay. Is that possible? Hefe only has one person up? All right. My screen says it's Hefe, so it's Hefe that we're going to raid, folks. He's there. Raid in 3, 2, 1. Again, thanks for coming. The raid call is Trample. Feel free to use the emotes. And have a good one, everybody.